right, today the topic we're going to be reviewing is angle relationships. So in your table of contents and in your notes at the top of the page, write angle relationships review. This is our review of angle relationships. Okay, so once you have your notes ready, first, how do I use a protractor? You may have a question like this on SC Ready. Where they have given you an angle or a bunch of angles with a protractor on top, and you have to use it to measure the angle. So remember these two little tricks. When the base of the angle goes to the right, so it's like right here, okay, going from that middle point to the right, we use the bottom set of numbers to measure the angle. So if we were measuring angle EAC, since the base goes to the right, I would use the bottom set of numbers, and it would be a 60-degree angle. Okay, right there, 60 degrees. When the base of the angle goes to the left, use the top set of numbers to measure the angle. So if I was measuring angle DAF, I would use the top set of numbers to measure the angle, and it would be 150 degrees. Okay, so remember those two things. When the base goes to the right, use the bottom set. When the base goes to the left, use the top set. First, a few terms you need to make sure you know. Remember, angles is a lot of vocabulary. You need to know what the different types of angles mean. So for a right angle, know that that's a 90-degree angle. When we say a straight angle, that means a 180-degree angle. A vertex is the point where two rays meet, and that forms an angle. Okay, an angle is formed by two rays that share a vertex. So those are some terms you need to know. Next, you need to know different ways to classify pairs of angles. So first two angles are vertical angles if they're opposite angles formed by the intersection of two lines. So vertical angles would be like angle 1 and angle 3. That would be a pair of vertical angles. They're opposite from each other. 2 and 4 would be the other pair of vertical angles. And remember that vertical angles are congruent. That means they're equal. So if angle 2 here was 70 degrees, that means angle 4 would also be 70 degrees. Next, adjacent angles have a common vertex, a common side, and they do not overlap. Common vertex, that point in the middle, common side, that means they're side by side and they don't overlap. So 3 and 4, 4 and 1, 1 and 2, 2 and 3. These are adjacent angles. Questions on these definitions, raise your hand and I can explain further to you. Okay, we can use those angle relationships to set up and solve equations. And this is really where the standard comes in. In fact, I didn't show you all the standard. Let me flip back real quick and show you what you have to be able to do. Did I not put it? I guess I didn't put it. Oops. That will be okay. You're supposed to be able to set up and solve equations using angle relationships. That's the entire standard. So back to this. Sorry. So I see that angle A and angle C are vertical angles, and I know that vertical angles are congruent. So I can set up the equation 2y plus 2 equals 130. And then I can solve that for y. Subtract 2 on both sides. Bring down 2y. 128. And then we divide by 2. Okay. And that would give me, what would that be? 64. Okay. I could also do the same thing for x, knowing that B and D are vertical angles. So 3x, not plus, minus 10 equals 50. I would add 10, 3x comes down, 60, and then divide by 3, x equals 20. Okay, so we can set up and solve equations using those angle relationships. We could have also done 3x minus 10 plus 30 equals 180 because those are adjacent. Those would be supplementary angles. That would be another way to solve this. So speaking of supplementary, remember complementary means they add to equal 90. Supplementary means they add to equal 180. Sometimes y'all get those mixed up, so you may want to jot that down. Complementary is 90. Supplementary is 180. They add to equal 90, like right here. They add to equal 180, like right here. Okay, so complementary and supplementary. If you had a question that said for you to draw an adjacent complement for the angle, you're trying to figure out what other angle would you add on to this to make a 90-degree angle. It would be 10, it would be 60, and it would be 45. Okay, so what would add on to that already there angle to equal 90 degrees for an adjacent complement? For adjacent supplement, same idea, only what would add on to that angle to give me 180. So here, 50 would add on to 130, 165 would add on to 15, and then a 90 degree would be another 90 degree angle. Those would add to equal 180. Okay. Here, the measure of its supplement, remember supplementary means they add to equal what? 180. So you would just subtract this from 180 to get that. And we can set up and solve equations using those complementary and supplementary angle relationships as well. For example, if we have angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary angles, so I'm going to draw that. Complementary means 90. Angle 1 is 24 degrees, and the measure of angle 2 is 3x. 3x. So what is the value of x? I would say 3x plus 24 equals 90. Subtract 24. That would equal what? 66. So then divide by 3. X equals 22. Okay? X equals 22. They may ask you to plug that in to find the measure of angle 2 then. We would just multiply that times 3. I mean, these are so easy. This one we would write what equation? 2x plus 50 equals 180, and then solve it. Let's just try these two. Hit pause, do them on your own. When you're ready to check your answers, hit play, and then you can start on the digits. Hit pause, try them on your own. When you're ready to check your answers, hit play. All right, for the first one, you should have gotten x equals 40. For the second one, x equals 50. You can check your work with my work. If you went wrong somewhere, see where you did it. Hopefully you are remembering this, remembering how to set up and solve the equations, and it shouldn't be too terribly challenging for you. At this point, you should be ready to try the digits assignment. Let me know if you have questions.